So, ladies and gentlemen, now welcome to a unique video of the start of this beautiful week. Sunny week. Love it. Beautiful weather here. So, anyway, today I wanted to talk to you about Venus, Mercury, and wealth. And how, in my own observational studies of looking at charts and, looking at placement of Mercury and Venus, and especially their nakshatras and what the nakshatras are doing, and especially now that I use this nakshatra concept of dharma artha, I really got to see something profound with Venus. Okay, so we're going to talk about that. And if you do not know where your Mercury Venus are placed in your chart, what sign it's in, what nakshatra they're in, where they're placed in your individual charts, all the other astrological details, for that check out the links here. Check out my full astrological report, including my consultations and link to my academy where I teach astrology. So one thing if you have studied somewhat astrology, you will realize Mercury is actually Kuber, the one who holds the wealth. And Venus, as you know, is naturally the significance of luxury and liquid cash. Because if you just look at the natural zodiacs, Venus rules the second house of our bank and savings. So Venus naturally will represent that. Then, if you look at the direction, Mercury has north direction, which is again direction of Kuber. Venus rules southeast. And southeast direction is a direction of your cash flow, the flow of money. And what I noticed specifically, because when I'm doing my reading, some people don't say anything, some people will say something. So some people will say, I'm having huge money problems. I've never had significant amount of money in my life. Then I'm getting chart where I say, I'm okay wealth wise and money wise. I'm just wanting to know about my marriage. I'm happy with this place I'm working. I'm great money. So I get these charts. And knowing these concepts, because I have like two folders in my Parashara Light, safe box about poverty and wealth and who's suffering from money and who's not suffering from money. And one thing I noticed is that Mercury Venus, first of all, in most of their charts, created a relation. Whether it was parivartan, meaning mutual reception, exchange of signs, conjunctions, sitting in each other nakshatras. So that's one thing I noticed. But especially Mercury Venus, I noticed were either in Trikon or especially in places like second house, 11th house, majority of that. And the thing is, when these two planets are conjunct or have a relationship, you are seeing the cash flow, which is Venus, which is also liquid wealth, is in business or relation or marriage with Kuber. And this particular, looking at it from that perspective made all that more sense. But then, one of the biggest things that I noticed is that the nakshatra that these two were sitting in, and then the nakshatra lord that these two planets were sitting in. And one thing that I noticed is that the wealth of this person came in when Venus or Mercury, if let's say even if they're in separate nakshatras or in the same nakshatras, when a person ran through the dasha of that nakshatra lord, money started flowing in. Or when the nakshatra itself the nakshatra lord of Venus and Mercury. So when they're sitting, Venus and Mercury nakshatra lord is somehow being aspected by either Mercury and Venus themselves or Jupiter. So what makes this interesting is also that I tried my own techniques when people were having hard times with their work and career, not just having money at all, and looking at their specific chart, from the ascendant to see which direction Venus is placed. Where is Venus is placed? And then when I told them these certain things that do this, do that, they made a profound difference. Because the thing is, first of all, you should be applying this regardless. Always have a neat and clean home. But specifically, north and southwest direction in your home should always be clean. Should always be clutter-free. Then, depending upon, the house that Venus and Mercury were sitting in, or if there was a relation, or let's say even if there wasn't a relation, I looked at the house. So for example, if Venus was sitting in the ascendant, let's say with Mercury, and I knew Venus is ruling a great house, Venus has the potential to give, sure, the timing is not there. But let me still advise this person. So in that context, I told this person that either wear a white hat. Start whenever you go out in the sun, wear a white color hat. And especially if you have glasses, like I have reading glasses, make sure that the color of the frame is white. And this will start to activate that Venus. Now, this doesn't mean that everybody who has Venus in the ascendant should start doing this, because we don't know what houses they're ruling and how the nakshatra is behaving and the nakshatra lord is behaving. So that's one thing. Then, like for example, if somebody has Venus in the 6th even, Mercury Venus sitting in the 6th, and we know that empowering Venus and Mercury will actually help this person in terms of attaining some gains. Lot, some, doesn't matter. Then I'm like, okay, why don't you just start wearing a white belt? Wear a white belt or a green belt. You're going for a job interview, okay, tomorrow. And I also said that if you can get your job interview between this hora, like meaning this hour, it'll be great. And when you go, wear a green or white belt. And let's see what happens. And whether it was the dasha, whether it was my remedy, I'm just being honest, they got the job. They got the desired salary and money that they wanted. Then especially considering, okay, even though Venus Mercury are together, we're studying Venus Mercury. One thing I noticed that when Venus and Mercury, I analyze, I'm like, okay, these two planets have a great relationship with each other. And most of the time, people do have a potential of this particular Venus-Mercury relationship because they're always close to each other. They're always close to each other. But one thing I noticed with Venus is that when Venus gives the potential for money, marriage became the key. Marriage became the key to unlock the safe. Because naturally, if you look at Venus is what? Marriage. And marriage is a big unionship. It requires rituals. It requires celebration most of the time. And it becomes this big event that kind of like charges. It's like you're putting, electric charge into that Venus combination. And most of the time when I asked that when did you really started making this wealth? Was it before or after marriage? I said before marriage it was okay, but after marriage, I really did well. And this is why we always see, just in general, your cousins get married, your friends get married, and they were doing okay. Suddenly, in 6 months, they are buying a fancy car. They're getting a new home. You see their Facebook posts going on different vacations. And you're like, boy, what kind of lottery this person hit, or what job are they doing? It's not about that. It's about the fact that they got married. Same thing you will notice with children. Like after marriage, things were still okay. They were just exactly the same. Perhaps Venus, even though charged, didn't have that power to ignite something. However, children, birth of children, suddenly gave that spark, because spark of children is Jupiter. Jupiter's position will show when you have children, when it activates it, what is it going to do? Because remember, astrology is action and reaction. We do something, we get a result. So not all the time one has to work hard and one has to keep doing things, for a long time to achieve something. Sometimes just activating one thing will give the result to the other. And I remember this one particular instance, and I was just like, man, I think I just got lucky. It wasn't something that I was a genius to ask this, because many more would have this, and I don't think it would have come true. But I remember this person had Venus in Swati Nakshatra in the 7th house, aspected by Rahu. And I just asked them, I'm like, can you just tell me that? And I just asked them, I don't know what just came in my mind. I'm like, let me just ask them if there is anything of that. I'm like, when you met your wife, did you buy shoes before meeting your wife? Or did you perhaps met your spouse over online, internet? Because obviously Rahu was looking at Venus. And again, I'm not saying that I made this profound predictions or I'm a great expert in it. No, it's just me analyzing, just saying something. Just even though it wasn't a marriage reading or anything. And they said, I bought shoes 3 days before meeting with my spouse, and I was on an online dating website, and suddenly the match was given and I contacted this person. Now, as you know, Swati is related to shoes. And Swati is also related to rising high, going to the heights. So what happened with them getting married, suddenly it started taking them to the highest scale of their life. Because that's what Swati does. And obviously Rahu is, as you know, is a Bhogakarka. So its aspect will give some sort of a Bhog related to that house. And Rahu's job is to expand things. And so when they confirmed that, I'm like, okay, here's a little suggestion. Anytime you and your spouse have a fight, argument, which will always happen no matter how great any, planetary placement is, I say whenever some big fight happens, go buy new shoes for yourself or some slippers, like white slippers. And that will improve your relationships. But specifically, like I said, it's not like you go buy shoes. You got Venus and Swati, you go buy shoes. Suddenly you may get into fight. It depends on how Venus is placed. But the thing is, Venus, when you relate to it, Venus's activation activates and energizes the southwest of your home, your dwelling, your energy field within the home. And that starts the churning of the cash flow. And Mercury is like that beautiful red cherry on top. Because now the cash flow is coming, but cash flow is coming with like the big safe. And especially what also happens, like for example, for certain people and certain ascendants, like for example, somebody's an Aries ascendant, okay? You will notice that if you're an Aries ascendant, you buy yellow color shoes or yellow color socks, several things will happen. One, expenditure rises. Sudden inclination and interest towards foreign travels occur. and suddenly need for bed pleasures or pleasures in general come into play. So you see how the color works in that sense as well. So like, for example, somebody's a Cancer ascendant, them wearing green shoes or green socks can suddenly bring like expenditures in their life. Why? Because you're activating that energy with the color. And this is something that Sandeep, taught me a while back. And I think in my last video, I don't know which video was it. Somewhere in the last video, I was talking about blue socks and white hat and exchanging that and things of that nature. I mean, beautiful results from that. But Venus Mercury play invisibly one of the most significant role when it especially comes to wealth. Not wealth of knowledge, not wealth of happiness, wealth that you can use to buy something, to get something. And obviously, like I said, nakshatras become very important because certain nakshatras kind of dry up the foundation of Shukra or Kuber. Certain will flourish. I don't want to name names because, again, I don't want to put this fear through this video. Like, oh my God, I have this Venus here. What's going to happen? Because all the things have to be analyzed. Okay, fine. It is doing this. But where is that nakshatra lord placed? What aspects is receiving what yoga? So fine, you may not be able to make $20 million. Maybe you'll make $3 million. That's still a lot. That's still a lot. But still, there are ways to even rectify those energy. Because if something is dry, something is drying it up, something is destroying it. Well, what do you do? If something is dry, you put more water on it and you make it more moist. So there's these different things that one can do. And again, it's not like a one remedy for all, because it really has to see the individual strength and the individual karma that will be released through these certain planets. And one of the other things that I would also, and this is something the teacher that I will bring hopefully in 2 weeks will confirm this with you, because it was their analysis as well. Actually, it is their analysis and I just started using it. But as much as we think that Saturn is the planet that causes death, Saturn that brings, death and losses in our life, Saturn is a karka of longevity. Why would it give death? Saturn represents death in older age. Saturn represents death when the completion of the lifespan, the actual given lifespan, is complete. The ones that have early deaths, untimely deaths, it's not Saturn, it's Mars. 100% it will be Mars. And when you analyze the chart of celebrities, because those are the easiest way to confirm something, whatever celebrity, whether Heath Ledger, Marilyn Monroe, whoever, if you know the timing concept, you know the chart concept, Mars played the biggest role. It was Mars that came and cut that. And you would notice that, especially because Saturn is longevity, Mars cut things. Mars burned things. Just from this simple concept, you start to see that what we have, redundantly read or heard from other people, it's not working. It's not working. What's working is what you observe, and what you see is working. So this was something that I just wanted to kind of discuss and bring about. And also, like, for example, like Venus in a certain placement. Like, for example, Venus is in your 9th house in the birth chart. And you want luxury in your life. You want, certain material happiness in this life. And it's very important. For normal man, it's very important. You're some sadhus, you're some yogi, fine. This video is a waste for you. I'm reaching out to the normal people who struggle, who want to fulfill their desires. So I'm giving you, and just using this house concept and activation things, you can do a lot of things. Especially, if Venus rules a great house in your chart, but let's say Venus is in the ninth house. Well, by having Venus in the ninth house, and let's say if you were to buy your spouse a diamond bracelet, a diamond ring, that will suddenly increase your luck. That will suddenly increase your luck. Now you'll be like, oh my God, now I have to buy a diamond. I'm not saying to go buy a diamond now, but gifting something of this sort activated. Why am I saying this? What gives me the authority to say this? Because I become the guinea pig of these things. When I learn something, I'm like, okay, before I do this, let me try it. Hey, what's the worst that could happen? I can get some gains. But when I have tried this over last year and a half, I just doing all these different things, becoming a guinea pig, I'm like, you know what? There's something big and profound with just the simple concepts of astrology. Big and profound with just simple things and colors and items. Like, for example, Venus is exalted in your chart. An exalted Venus does not mean money. Trust me. Usually people are more intoxicated with confusion than bringing some material things. But if Venus is exalted and it shows that, okay, it's in a good house placement, getting a fish aquarium in your home becomes a sudden activated energy of wealth. Because obviously water, especially moving water, naturally represents wealth. Because it controls the north and the northeast side. And because Venus is there, and Pisces is actually the symbol of Pisces is fish, when you activate that, things happen. So from this, hopefully you guys can see in your chart if you have money, and I'm talking about great amount of money, see how this connection of Venus and Mercury working, when exactly did the wealth come in. So observation, more than what I would hear or read, is me looking at the chart and asking questions. It's okay to ask questions. You're not going to become a less of an astrologer from asking questions and being curious. So don't think like a person will say, oh, well, you should supposed to know this. Why are you asking me this? No, just ask. And nobody says this. People actually reply. You guys who come to me, you guys reply me. Like, yes, this and this happened, this and this happened, and this. And I'm like, very interesting. So that means now this and this is becoming activated. And then the themes related to the nakshatra lord, when those themes are brought into the home, when those themes become active, even the nakshatras have items. Nakshatras have, certain stories and certain symbolism behind it. Having those symbolism will also activate that particular Venus. Now, the crazy question is the timing doing this? Or is it something that you're doing? And my answer to it is nothing that we do is actually free will. I personally believe there's zero free will. If you were to do something, let's say you were to watch this video and you were to take an action, well, it was meant for you to watch this video, take some action. Otherwise, it will not. And I can't explain it, at least not until I have my notes that I've collected from the past 6-7 months. But the free will concept is whatever I'm doing right now, it was supposed to be. I was supposed to today on Monday make this video on this subject, which will somehow change and poke the universe in some way. I'm telling you, we're diving into this quantum matrix. It's not just some physics astrology. It's like quantum physics. It is so chaotic in how it's working, how it's behaving. that it'll take 10 lifetimes to understand why and what and who and where and what is causing all of it, but I just wanted to, just kind of give you guys some kind of simple indications in life that can somehow help you churn your own ocean. Okay, so and hopefully got something good out of it. If not, you got to saw my pretty face. I'm pretty, so shut up. So anyway, guys, this is my little video. If you're new to my channel, subscribe below. And if you want to know where your planets are placed, all your books, reports, constellations, check out the links here. Otherwise, we'll see you later. Bye-bye.